Hi there, it's Jeff here. Here's an important short revision video looking at price leadership. Now, price leadership, it's a market phenomenon where a dominant firm in the market, the price leader, essentially sets the price for a good or a service, and the other firms, the other rivals in the market, tend to follow its pricing decisions. We find this kind of behavior quite common in oligopoly, where a few large firms dominate, and actually firms come to ultimately recognise that price wars, competition between them, can be quite disruptive to profits. So price leadership is widespread across industries where one firm has cost advantages, has market influence or brand power, or a combination of all three. And in this market, in this model, these firms set pricing trends that other rivals tend to follow to maintain their market position. So we talk about a dominant firm price leadership. That's where you have a single large firm with a significant cost advantage. They set the price. Smaller firms tend to follow. Barometric price leadership is the firm perceived as being in the business with the most efficient operations, or perhaps having the best market know-how or knowledge or market intelligence. So other firms are happy to follow the price that's been set. And of course, we may get some degree of collusive price leadership where firms implicitly agree through perhaps some form of tacit collusion to follow a leader's price to avoid price wars. I'm trying to think of good examples. It's not always easy to find them, but I think the fast food industry is probably a good example. It's widely regarded that McDonald's sets the pace as a price leader in the fast food sector. When they adjust their menu prices, and they don't do that often, competitors like Burger King and Wendy's in the USA and KFC perhaps and Subway in the UK typically follow suit to remain competitive. So if you go back in time when McDonald's introduced the famous value meals and dollar menus, slightly more now, other chains introduced similar low-cost options within short time period. I think a good example in the UK is the market for petrol retailing. Now, Shell remains one of the largest fuel, petrol and diesel retailers in the UK. Its pricing decisions do seem to influence competitors like BP, Esso and Texaco, and also to a lesser extent perhaps supermarket petrol stations, the likes of which Tesco, Asda, Sainsbury's and Morrisons. Why? Well, because Shell has significant upstream integration. It's both a major oil producer and refiner. They have a significant cost advantage. And in a sense, the supermarkets have become quite dominant in terms of selling petrol. They tend to follow Shell and others, but often with a lag. So they sell petrol more cheaply, in part because they can get in the wholesale markets. But the prices across this industry, they tend to move in the same direction. So when we think about petrol and mortgages and fast food, prices tend to move in similar directions. Now, one of the ways that you can revise price leadership is to think about the Kinked Demand Curve. And the Kinked Demand Curve is not on the syllabus for every exam board, but let me just explain how it works. The model assumes that price increases are not followed. If one firm raises prices, competitors tend not to follow, leading to a loss of customers. And that makes demand highly price elastic. Whereas a price decrease is followed, competitors reduce their prices, they follow to maintain market share, which tends to make demand price inelastic below the current price. As a result, you often get a period or phase of price rigidity once the price is settled at a given level. Because in the Kinked Demand Curve, there's what's called an asymmetric demand response. Firms prefer to maintain stable prices, and that does align quite closely with the concept of price leadership. So let's just quickly walk through the Kinked Demand Curve with you. So demand is price elastic when there's a price increase, but more price inelastic for a price fall, and that becomes our sort of Kinked Demand Curve. So rivals will assume not to follow a price rise, but they do follow a price fall. As a result, prices may become relatively stable at P1, Q1. Indeed, any change in price in this model leads to a fall in total revenue. And prices become sticky at that point. And if you're not competing on price, well, typically firms tend to move their resources towards non-price competition. branding, differentiation, marketing, and other factors. There's the marginal revenue curve that goes with it. So price leadership, quite an important idea just to have a knowledge of, particularly when you're revising Oligopoly for your economics papers. Thanks for joining in. Stay safe, stay curious, and see you sometime soon.